Alright everybody, this is Poison Song teaser. A new blog is out by the Tamriel Rebuilt team and it's time to go through the blog. I have the blog on the left and a fairly outdated map, I think, on the right. I'm not sure, but we will have this as reference. Alright, let's get into it then. Tamriel Rebuilt Poison Song teaser. Grasping Fortune, our biggest and most ambitious expansion to date, is now done and dusted. So we at Tamriel Rebuilt have in recent months turned most of our attention towards the next upcoming expansion, Poison Song. Long-time followers will know that this for the first time means a joinable House Indoril. Yay! Indoril is at last joinable. Wow. That's amazing, huh? Okay, in the following article, we aim to dive a little deeper than that and give you a teaser into everything that the expansion will cover. Right, so we get a map here. All of these towns like Dondril, Wu, and all of these towns are settlement remakes. Here, as you can see, the legend here. So, yeah, we come here when we play Ebonheart quests. We definitely travel here, right? Nice to see that they've changed this area, they've changed a little bit of this area, and also Tel Honoria is also touched up. Okay, interesting. And this is the new area. We'll get the new city or town of Orethan. Orethan, right? It's very near Almalexia, right? Wow. Can we see Almalexia from here? Some city wall or something can be seen from here. That'll be amazing. We're so close. Wow. Okay. And this area is remade area. Right. The island of Gorne, Darvonis, Marog, all of this is remade. And also Camelzy, the Dwemer ruin, right? If you look at the map here, yeah, all of this area is remade. The light blue, sky blue icons indicate that this is House Indoril area, right? Yeah. So yeah, Great House Indoril is light blue, and red is of course Imperials, and grey is Verothi. Okay, unaffiliated. Okay, all of this is Indoril area, including Akamora. Nice. All right, background. The sub-project that became Poison Song got started already in mid-2021 at a time when we were well into development of the experimental Embers of Empire expansion. Embers of Empire was almost an heretical experiment at remaking a large old portion of our mod, the western seaboard of the Telvanni Peninsula and settlements like Firewatch and Helm. Only a few years prior to that, redo had been a dirty word in the TR community. Our team, which was significantly smaller at that time, felt it would draw much needed resources away from developing new lands in House Lalu ruled southwestern Morrowind, which had remained our main focus for a few years. Right, all of this area was developed as part of the Embers of Empire release, Firewatch, Helm, all of this area, right? Nivalis. At the gates of new Firewatch released in 2022 as part of the Embers of Empire expansion. Right, all of this area. But volunteer developers come in different stripes. Some love the race towards completion of the entire province. Yes, this is important. Others find it much more motivating to make sure that what is already released is in top-notch condition. Like, this top-notch condition is a very subjective thing, right? The current gen developers, they may feel that what they did is top-notch. Maybe developers in 2035 will feel what is done now is not in top-notch condition. So this is extremely subjective. I don't understand this, but okay, I guess. So in 2020, as our team grew on the backs of the successful old Ebonheart and Anthirian expansions, we started Embers of Empire as an experiment in a targeted overhaul that would save the latter type of developer. Built in parallel to the mainline Dominions of Dust expansion, Embers turned out to be a huge success, revamping one of the oldest and most poorly aged parts of the mod into an area we truly remain proud of. If you observe our Bella series, I did all of the quests in Firewatch and Helm also. My goal was to complete all the content of Port Telvannis, but unfortunately Grasping Fortune was released. Many people asked me to start doing Grasping Fortune stuff, so Bella moved to Othmura, and so we've currently She finished all of the quests in Otmura, Al Ewell, and Al Marak. So next, she will move on to Lerenhul. That's a state of our playthrough of Tamriel Rebuilt. The point is, I really enjoyed some of the old content. It's not bad. In fact, it's very good. Danyon Rune, the questline was fantastic. And also, Tel Wada had some interesting quests. Tel Wada, right here. Spectacular town. Beautiful design, pretty interesting content. So, just because things are old doesn't mean that it is bad. For example, Akamora had some incredible quests. The Fighters Guild questline of Akamora is some of the best content of Tamriel Rebuilt. So, yeah, this top-notch condition thing is extremely subjective. Just because things are old doesn't mean that it's bad. Just because things are new, that doesn't mean it's good. In fact, I enjoyed Akamora content and Ranyon Rune content more than the newer top-notch Firewatch content, for example. Right? So, that's my opinion. I say as it is. So, let's continue. It was only natural that we wanted to replicate that success, so we turned to the next item in our trash list, being the Sundered Scar region just east of Old Ebonheart. Oh yeah, okay, this region. Sundered Scar. What is striking about the Scar as it stands today is that it was developed explicitly as filler land. Had very few points of interest and reasons for visiting. The area was largely made by 2003 at a time when Morrowind's continued popularity was by no means a given and when completing the mod as fast as possible seemed paramount. Okay, so they crafted this area back in 2003 using Bitter Coast assets. The region still suffers from the original neglect and is seldom played through, especially since it hosts barely a couple of quests. Right. By 2021, however, we had largely reconceptualized the Sundered Scar as a blasted sulfurous wasteland based on scrapped Bethesda plans for a Great Scades region. Oh yeah, there was one map, right? From 1996 map, if I remember. Oh yeah, this thing, oh wow. 1996 they envisioned Vardenfell, just imagine. Wow, insane. The Great Scades. Yeah, where is that? That's gone. So they are remodeling the Sundered Scar region based on this Great Scades concept, serving as something of an extension of the volcanic Molag Amur region on Vardenfell to its north. Lore-wise, the area was to be House Mora's ancient domain, left vacant and decaying following Nerevar's death, never reclaimed by another Indoril lord out of respect for the dead Hortator. I see. A brand new palette of environmental assets was created for the purpose, and the overhaul of the Sundered Scar landscape was opened in mid-2021 to be slowly chipped away at on the background as our main effort continued to be directed at southwestern Morrowind. Gorne. But we already feature Gorne in the mod, you say? Well, yes, we do have an island named Gorne in the Padomike Ocean just east of Morrowind's coastline, relatively close to where TES titles take place at. However, we have for many years favored a different reading of the TES III book Poison Song, where the idea of the island originates, which instead places it in the inner sea close to Vardenfell. Yeah, very near Tel Branora, right? This island of Gorne. The Chapel of Gorne stands mourning Nerevar with the new Camel Z in the distance. Ooh, Camel Z, yeah, right here, look at that. The Dwemer ruin here, and Gorne is right here. So is this like an Indoril town? Wow, fairly large town as well, right? As big as Darwonis. Super cool how the Tamriel Rebuilt team is creating unique architecture sets for every house. Wonderful. Okay, therefore, Poison Song was kicked off by crafting a new take on the island in the Bay of the Inner Sea just across from Azura's shrine on Vardenfell. In our lore, the Indoril Chapel of Gorne was raised there in contemplation of the holy temple island of Vardenfell. In gameplay and writing terms, it opens up intriguing possibilities, including better integration of House Indoril into Vardenfell affairs, and a natural jumping-off point for the player into the Indoril storyline. Originally made in the green-blue Mournhold tileset from Tribunal, the Indoril Chapel present on the island has already been remade in a brand new Indoril exterior tileset inspired by the old Mournhold architecture seen underneath Tribunal's Mournhold sewers. Beautiful. It looks great. Looks so distinct and different, right? You see this and you realize, oh, it's Indoril, right? Wonderful. So talented. The Tamriel Rebuilt team is so talented. Sundered Scar. The Sundered Scar exterior world space itself has by now been fully finalized, bearing a small consistency pass. Once a garden of the Indorils, like the land to its south, it was broken apart during the cataclysms of the First Era and neglected, becoming a mesmerizing but unhealthy land of geysers, fumaroles, and acid pools. I see. The Sundered Scar is primarily dangerous dungeon territory. In gameplay terms, a high-level wilderness that quests from more docile areas can direct you towards. Wild beasts roam the region, and its small, out-of-the-way coves are home to a multitude of hideaways, outcasts, and smuggler gangs, illicit goods between bounteous Vardenfell and the mainland. So, tons of bandit camps. In the ruins of ancient civilizations, more serious dangers lurk still. Strewn among all this hazard are crumbling remains of the might of House Mora and numerous relics of the Nerevar, one of the main thrusts of the region's House Indoril quests. Okay, so House Indoril questline will get you to investigate and find the missing relics of Nerevar. Interesting. Right, they mention a House Mora here, and this was the ancient house in the First Era. We're not sure if Indoril Nerevar was part of this house. Hopefully we'll learn more about that. Sulfur pools and volcanoes are some of the many dangers present in the Scar. Right. It'll be a depressing place essentially, right? No greenery, extremely barren, arid, ashy. Okay. But I guess you need variety, right? Every place can't be like the Graceland or as spectacular as the desert canyons of Narcissus. So, yeah. Despite the harsh surroundings, a small but hardy folk of Velothi ranchers and sulfur miners eke out a living in Sundered Scar. Velothi settlements dot the region, the biggest being the coastal town of Darvonis. Oh yeah, the Grey people. Their unofficial capital, transformed from a small shack village in prior versions of Tamriel Rebuilt to a properly permanent Velothi settlement. Darvonis is the center of a small industry of salt mining and purification that provides the economic backbone of the region, but comes at a cost to the health of its inhabitants. Lacking much great house presence, the town relies on support from its temple and the limited might of the self-organized militia, the Darvonis Watch. Darnim Watch. Oh wow. Was this a settlement in Arena? Interesting. So we have some quests here, Darvonis. Nice. On the eastern edge of the region, you will find the Supai Caravanserai, where in previous versions of the mod stood the in-between. While the old inn was beloved by Tamriel Rebuilt fans, its lore hardly made any sense. The outlander-heavy clientele clashed with the tone of the traditionalist Eastern Morrowind, especially as the NPCs were presented as looters of the ancient and sacred Dun Akafel. Right, Dun Akafel is some kind of a ruin, right? We visited when we were doing these Akamora quests. It is somewhere here, Dun Akafel. The new Caravanserai, freshly NPC'd, still retains that adventurous atmosphere as well as many of the same NPCs and quests, though substantially Dunmerified. Supai Caravanserai. Near Marog, you will also find our updated take on the famous Dreamer dungeon of Camel Z. Yeah, this dungeon appears in many books. The famous ruin, right? In current Tamriel Rebuilt, this is an absolutely giant dungeon that was unfortunately released in an unfinished state in 2008, where it remains to this day. After many aborted attempts at finishing it in the decades since its release, the dungeon will instead be remade entirely new. The old attempt had very little going for it in terms of rewards or even a thought-out plan, so a fresh start was deemed unavoidable. Efforts to remake the interior began already in 2021 but have been on hold for a few years. With the new Camel Z exterior already done and dusted, work must now continue on finishing the interior. Okay. So we'll have a new Camel Z Ruin now. Orethan Heartlands. While we hope that you will find the total remake of Sundered Scar exciting enough, especially seeing as it will include tons more quests than were present in the original, by late 2023 we felt that the expansion needed to be more of a redo. So we heaped a big chunk of wholly new land on top. Yeah, of course, this land, right? So all of this is new land which they've added. Nanav, Othrinus, these towns. By the time we had fully embrace the previously described back burner redos of old content, of which Embers of Empire expansion was first and Poison Song will be the second. A gradual but comprehensive plan emerged to bring all of our old pre-2018 Indoril lands up to modern standards. Oh no, that includes Akamora. No, they're going to surely they're going to redo Akamora, right? Man. This would rely on a large variety of bespoke environmental assets for the 5 regions in question, and a strong coherent characterization and story arc for House Indoril. The lush Orethan Heartlands. Oh wow, beautiful. What a difference from Sundered Scar. Look at that. Huh. There's a lot of water here, right? So well irrigated, and yeah, it makes sense to make this a green place. It so happened that by late 2023, the first part of this continuing overhaul was ready to start implementation work, that being the updated Orethan region that surrounds the city of Almalexia. The Orethan forms the lush heartland of the Indoril realm that largely feeds the province's capital and is home to the majority of the Mournhold district's agriculture and population. Right, the bread basket. In Tamriel Rebuilt's original inception dating back to the mid-2000s, this was the Alt Orethan region, of which the only slice ever released to players is a little bit surrounding the town of Meralag. This was not particularly exciting region in terms of environmental design. Like all of old Tamriel Rebuilt, it had to rely primarily on vanilla assets and thus ended up being a somewhat rockier clone of the Ascadian Isles region. I see. The perilous Sundered Scar transitioning into the docile Orethan. Nice. See, it's becoming green. It's becoming greener and greener as we go this way. Love it. In its stead, our concept texture and 3D artists created a set of flora, rocks, and ground textures that hew as close as possible to the tiny serving of new environmental assets that ship with the tribal expansion. The typically singular variants of trees and flowers in Mournhold's cultivated gardens have had several wilder looking variants added to them, and a ton of holy lieu flora make the region pop. Right, look at that, it's so colorful. The area is still green and lush in a welcome break from the drabness of much of Morrowind, but the bespoke assets make it clear you're no longer in Kansas. The Ascadian Isles. Tilmeth Manor, a minor location of House Indoril. Tilmeth Manor. This one, right here, like here, right here. And this will be part of the release. As you can see, Tilmeth Manor. So all of them have this dark blue domes. Love the spire. Shring. Alright, in Poison Song specifically, we aren't adding the entirety of the vast new Orethan region, much less the metropolis of Almalexia, of course. This is like a big release. Instead, we have added a slice of the Heartlands just to the west and north of the great city, directly south of the Sundered Scar region, which is nevertheless packed full of content. Wow. The town of Orethan sits on top of a confluence of trade routes and is the biggest questing center in the Poison Song expansion. Oh really? So we gotta come here and do all the quests. The biggest settlement here is Orethan, a prosperous trade city on Velot's path. Indoril Beroth, the ruler of the area, turns a handsome profit from the town, but remains suspicious of the wealthy citizens and non-Indoril visitors. Oh really? A tribunal temple questline there will explore the themes of pilgrimage, trade, and heresy. Nice, so we have a tribal temple faction questline. Nanav, I like the name, Nanav, the steadfast chapel of Indoril Beroth. In addition, Orethan Heartland just east of Lake Andaram is also where you'll find the Indoril chapel estate of Nanav. Right. Home to the paranoid Indoril Beroth, a relatively fortified border estate nevertheless known for the beauty of its airy gardens. North of Orethan, you find the headquarters of the Order of Doctrine and Ordination, one of the 4 branches of the Ordinators. Order of Doctrine, right here, look at that. Just above Orethan, where we intend to situate our first questline for the Ordinator faction. Oh yes, Ordinators are going to be a faction. Amazing. Okay, House Indoril. Yes. Are you ready to study the design document? Adding the slice of Orethan Heartlands to the release unlocked one of the holy grails that Tamriel Rebuilt players had been waiting for more than 20 years, the ability to join House Indoril. Much effort had already been spent in the mid-2010s to create a unique character for House Indoril, resulting in the wonderful interactions seen in Roadir in 2019's Antherin expansion. A couple of years ago, however, we consolidated and largely transformed this characterization into a comprehensive design document, including a plan for a full Indoril questline. Oh wow, Daedric alphabets. The sigil of House Indoril. Okay, once the unquestionable hegemons of Morrowind, firm but charitable custodians to the garden that is Morrowind, unshakable patrons of the tribal temple, the arms ties signed between Vivek and Tabaseptim shook the great house to its core. Seeing the surrender of Morrowind to an outlander warlord as a cataclysm, the surviving Indoril lords have been gripped in doubt and misfunction ever since, mirroring what is happening to their patron, the goddess Almalexia. In their nihilism, they have proved unable to unite in the face of serious challenges to their hegemony, much less effectively counteract the increasingly brazen encroachment by houses Lalu and Telvanni. Oh yeah, Lalu is encroaching into their lands here, and then Telvanni is encroaching into their lands here. I wonder if there are like wars, between House Lalu and House Indoril or House Telvanni. Surely they have to be, right? Conflict on land or resources is a fairly normal thing, and I'm sure they fight. If you guys are lore experts and know about some wars between the great houses, do share in the comment. I would love to read. Alright, the addition of the Gorne and Nanav chapels to the already extant Roadir gives us three major Indoril power centers. Right. Nanav, Gorne, and... Ooh, Orethan is not Indoril. Why is that? Why is Orethan grey? Yeah, all of this could have been Indoril, right? What happened? Velothi unaffiliated, right? So all of these towns here, Orethan, Imreni, Vul, why are they unaffiliated and why are they Velothi? Why didn't House Indoril take over? If this is Indoril area, all three chapels will have separate, relatively low-level questlines introducing you to the local issues and the personalities of the ruling Indorils. Indoril Sandal of Gorne, the most forward-thinking and adaptable of the three, may agree to become your patron for real advancement in the venerable house, should you humor his fascination with the legacy of Nerevar in a series of high-level quests. Wow. Alright, the House Indoril questline in the Chapel of Gorne will have you explore the legacy of House Mora. Right. Now, if we have already joined House Lalu, we're all working on these quests, right? Definitely, our existing characters can't join House Indoril, so we'll need a new character to do these quests, unfortunately. But it is what it is. We have faction locking in Morrowind, which Bethesda does not believe in nowadays. What a shame. Okay, with the new exterior architecture tileset complete, and Indoril material culture promises to be just as evocative as their lore. One of the biggest pieces of Poison Song still in the making is the matching interior architecture tileset. New tilesets are just difficult to get right, especially one so centrally important to a large part of the Tamriel Rebuilt experience, but we will get it finished soon enough. Right, House Indoril. Let's do some studying. We have the design document, so why not study it, right? Yes, House Indoril is, oh my god, white screen. Why can't they have dark mode? It is one of the great Dharma houses of Morrowind. Okay, we'll quickly skim through this, The player's role in House Indoril questline will be to shake the house out of its paralysis. Yes, get out of your paralysis and take all of this territory. It's there for the taking. Oh wow. Oh wow, look at this design document. Tamriel Rebuilt team is so good. House Indoril is closer to the compassion and sympathy of Almalexia, a comfortable and secure serenity. I can't get the Vivek's voice right. The Indoril are loved by the people for their gifts and donations, grasping fortune. Alright, a confederation of chapels, okay. The head of chapel is known as Indoril. Ah, okay. Right, they were talking about the guy in Gorne, right? Indoril Sandal of Gorne. This guy's name is Sandal, but his title is Indoril, because he is the head of the chapel. It takes the name of the saint who founded the chapel, for whom the chapel was founded. Okay, history in the Merethic era, history in the... Wow, they were in the Merethic era? That's insane. In the first era, they ruled Ebonheart and Almalexia, right? Wow, what a time it was. The first era must have been amazing. Second era began with rebuilding of Mournhold. Okay. Third era, collapse. Oh, really? So in third era, they started collapsing. All of these are towns. Drenim, Nanav. So all of these are going to be Indoril towns. Wow. Every town has a chapel dedicated to a patron saint, right? All temple and Indoril saints are called by their first names, saint name. Okay, now faction details. Yeah, I'm more interested in this. Favorite attributes, strength and agility. Favorite skills, blunt, long blade, heavy armor, restoration, destruction, alchemy. Nice, so you can be a mage player and still get through, or you can be a warrior character. But what about agility? There's no skill that boosts agility here. Should it be strength and intelligence, or strength and willpower? Okay, whatever. Ranks: hireling, retainer, oathman, lawman. Right. And they love the tribunal temple and the hands of Almalexia, of course. And they like house dress. They don't like Telvanni, Mages Guild, Thieves Guild, Fighters Guild, Kamarotong. They hate the Legion, Imperial Cult, and East Empire Company. Yeah. They are the invaders, right, from Cyrodiil who are here. They're not supposed to be here. And they absolutely despise House Lalu because they are traitors and they serve the Empire. Of course, they hate Dagothor. And they hate the Nerevarine cult. Oh no. Brilliant. I love this. The quest details are documented here, so you can read if you want. I love how open the Tamriel Rebuilt team is, you know. All the Skyrim modding projects, please watch and learn. Skyrim modding projects most of them are so closed and they don't share anything. So I totally appreciate what the Tamriel Rebuilt team does. But anyway, let's move on. We have sort of skimmed through the design document of House Indoril. Alright guys, I have skipped this section which talks about some of the minor touch-ups in smaller towns, so you guys can read. We will go to the next section. Old Ebonheart quest touch-ups. A controversial topic. Another loose thread from around the same area are the quest lines in Old Ebonheart. One of the trade-offs of our episodic release structure is siloing of quests, whereas Morrowind regularly sent you all across Vvardenfell with its quests. Our release structure forces us to mostly stick to within a single expansion's area. Hence, we are always on the lookout for opportunities to tie different release areas better together. One of the obvious ways to do so with Poison Song and the areas directly west of it would be to redirect some old Ebonheart quests to the Sundered Scar region. After all, the Scar is a large, reasonably high-level wilderness, a perfect place to send players on mid to high-level sojourns away from the cramped city. Right, your old Ebonheart quests essentially took you to these areas, right? These towns the most. Now they'll send you to all over the Sundered Scar region. But since we are messing around with old Ebonheart already, the fact is that many of its questlines remained half-finished in the original 2018 release. This was the most apparent with the Imperial Cult and Fighters Guild factions, which ended on cliffhangers. But plans were left unfinished with many of the other questlines too. With Poison Song, we finally found the will and opportunity to finalize these. The Old Ebonheart Fighters Guild is an elite guild chapter that has the luxury of staying above the fray of house politics. Something that many guild chapters in Morrowind are unable to do. That's interesting. So, yeah, if you remember the Akamora Fighters Guild questline, the Fighters Guild there had to deal with a squabble between nobles. They had to get involved in politics there, right? And the Fighters Guild at other locations will have to deal with the politics of great houses too. But the Old Ebonheart Fighters Guild does not have to worry about all of that. Its revamped questline will now focus on contracts given by Imperial citizens and the city's complex relationship with the Indoril. 6 quests. I wonder what has changed. Have they completely revamped the questline? The Imperial Cult questline will end its teasing of the unimplementable mystery play. The play will happen off screen. Yeah, just like Myla Morrowind, right? So stories are meant to be imagined. That's the essence of Morrowind, so I guess that makes sense. New additions to the questline will instead focus on Talos worship, Imperial cult. Find 5 pieces of Dwemer scrap metal. Wow, what a quest. Grunt work. Okay, wait. New additions to the questline will instead focus on Talos worship, brass fever, and touch upon old Ebonheart's history in its own way. The whole thing will end on a grand fashion artifact hunt, as Imperial cult questlines always do. Yeah, Imperial cult questlines, they send you to get artifacts. Imperial Legion questline will be made a little more vanilla-like, with a reduction in scripted sequences that reduce player agency. It will also tie in more with old Ebonheart themes like the Delagia gang, that is antagonist to the local thieves guild, or relations with the Indoril. The end piece will be the investigation of General Kasek's guild, the Simulacrum era leader of old Ebonheart, who started a war with Firewatch. Oh wow, history. We're delving into history. Nice. So Imperial Legion also had 6 quests. So all of this is going to change. Some of the deepest changes will be in the old Ebonheart Mages Guild questline. While it contained some great moments, the questline was a patchwork of different ideas and we were never satisfied with the full package. The remade version will make the whole thing more coherent, cut the more frustrating quests, and bring both Kalan and Puzzle Mansion, previously side gigs, to the center. Questline will now finish on high-stakes Daedric negotiations deep in Oblivion. Oh wow, really? Mages Guild. Okay, 6-7 quests. Cool ideas though. Yeah, the quest design of Tamriel Rebuilt is unmatched, that's for sure. Phenomenal quest design and writing, right? So we can expect more of that. Perhaps more controversial are the touch-ups to the old Ebonheart Thieves Guild. No way. The Thieves Guild questline is one of the most iconic questlines of Tamriel Rebuilt. The whole questline with its often railroady structure hews far from the simpler Morrowind-style roleplayer-friendly stuff that we prefer these days. Really? Was it railroady? What? I thought most quests had options, multiple ways of doing things, and pretty interesting choice and consequence too, right? A fantastic ending. What an ending this quest, Emperor's Ransom. Wow. And one of my favorite quests in Tamriel Rebuilt is infiltrating the gang. What a quest. And then Empress Ransom at the end was like a phenomenal adventure. But it is fun and beloved by many, so the changes aren't very deep at all. Don't worry. Okay, good. Better. We have cut some of the more superfluous choices, made the technical structure of the quest much more maintainable, made it more critical to develop good thieving skills, and removed some of the moralizing regarding player choices. The beginning quest, however, with its obvious and unavoidable healing ritual, was a frequent target of player criticism, has been cut. What? The Eye of Argonia is gone? It was kind of a hilarious quest, right? A hilarious start. That's what I remember. Essentially, you are kidnapped and you are interrogated, right? Phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. I don't know why they cut it. Why? What is the hazing ritual? I don't understand. Okay, finally, the East Empire Company questline, which already received a whole new chapter late this year, has been somewhat expanded. Okay. The main themes have been kept familiar. Okay, but now this is one honking big questline. Okay, so we only had 4 quests and now we'll have more. Right. In total, while we expect some pushback on particular changes to these well-known and beloved questlines, we hope you'll appreciate the greatly expanded quest content and improved coherence. I don't know, man. I hope they don't make wholesale changes to the Thieves Guild questline. I mean, it is phenomenal. Next week, we'll have a quest design review of this questline, so you guys can enjoy those episodes, where I go through all of these quests and we observe the quest design and writing. I hope they don't totally overhaul it. And the fact that they cut the first quest is extremely sad. Overall, the pace is good on all fronts and finalization of the expansion is expected to be a matter of months away. Oh, really? Yeah, if you guys love Morrowind modding, please join the team and head the team. Let's check out some comments. At this rate, we'll have some all of Morrowind fully created up to modern standards before TES 6. Lol. This person says, this looks amazing. House Indoril has always been my favorite house in the lore. And the little bits and pieces you've sprinkled in have made me roleplay an Indoril character more times than I can count. I used to have this habit of never joining a great house, always wondering, oh, but what if they shadow drop the Indoril questline? I have to restart. So excited that I can now actually join House Indoril and truly be Nerva reborn. Will say this though, I'm super disappointed to see the intro quests of Old Ebonheart Thieves Guild go. Really? Yeah, me too. What the hell, man? I always thought it was super memorable moment, even if it was a little cheesy. An organization dedicated to thieving would have a ritual like that to see if you rat out on your fellow thieves. Exactly. Right. Alright guys, we have come to the end of this wonderful blog by Sultan of Rum. Incredible passion and amazing writing. Anyway, that's about it. And if you're still here, I appreciate you. If you're new, we have a Tamriel Rebuilt playthrough on the channel every Tuesday morning. We have an episode. We are currently doing the Narcissus area quests. I will leave the link of the playlist in the description. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and may Vivek, Almalexia and Sotasil watch over you.